How the Black Man Lost His Hands, read by Mahisha Sapp, the author. Long ago, there once lived quite a unique community of folks, at least by today's standards. Their prism-like skin, which reflected all of the colors in the land. This occurred because of the numerous suns that dwelled in the sky. We would absolutely be curious to see what they looked like. I know I would. We wouldn't be able to see them, though. They would not be visible to us at all. In fact, what we call seeing or having vision is as evolved as a temporary tattoo on a child's skin. It looks good if you do it right. The child may even think it's permanent, but with a little soap and water, it's gone. Not even the highest powered machine in today's time would fare any better. It may pick up something, but nothing much. Whatever it picks up would still go down in the books as progress. But to visually see what they look like, I guess at a certain time, we must have evolved way too fast, too soon, way too far away from this original blueprint. Time must have rolled by too fast, too soon, adapting to change quickly and without notice, like boulders crashing down the mountainside, hitting the earth with such great force, bit by bit. Pieces of our beingness, chunks of time broke off, lack of use, like a steamroller, smoothed it out. However, we still carry traces of their DNA. And so, under the illuminating night sky, the youngins would gather like ideas unfolding. Thinking was the popular sport. Debate swung one by one like bats hitting a ball out of the park, or dunked into existence. Their points of view so potent they would materialize as solid as the earth around them. All hands in lifted this massive structure, distributing its weight amongst them. They all held it up high over their heads, tossing it into the night sky, where it then became a new star, shining as bright as its brothers and sisters. Every single star in the sky was created by a youngin'. Their purpose was a necessity to life's living, as necessary as any adult's, for thinking was the greatest tool ever. To cultivate it, greater than any one pair of hands could ever offer. Each youngin' had this gift. Greatness was their norm. For these exuberant activities the youngins participated in at night set the tone for an exhilarating daytime filled with activities. Adult children, young and old, mothers, fathers, uncles, grandparents, brothers, now under the sun, adults are children as well. All of these discussions going on during the day, buzzing like bees pollinating flowers. Discussions fueled the sun like logs hurled, kicked, or tossed into a fire. I mean, the sun had suns. There was just a lot of suns. They were all shining, reflecting on this community. As numerous discussions were taking place, men, fathers, brothers, uncles engaged in conversation in a unique way. Upon the crown of their heads was the ancestral plane. There, a hand reached forth for each and every conversation, began and ended with a firm handshake from this region. The wisdom from this plane was crucial, for every discussion had its advantage. No mistake was made twice. The ancestors saw to it. Now below the neck, in the present region, sitting furthest apart east to west, were two great mountainous shoulders, where arms extended, just like we have today. Hands reached forth, ready to shake hands, and each and every conversation, there on the shoulders of at least one man was a child, like a bird perched in its nest, observing, absorbing, taking in the day's activities. Now, if folks were born with missing a limb or no physical arms, that was neither here nor there, really. Commitment to the conversation, the agreements, the disagreements, to agree to disagree was a part of it all. Carrying the conversation and your child held it all together in place. Agreements extended way beyond the physical plane. Always been that way. Now below this plane rendered another region. It reached forth and engaged in each and every conversation as well, doing its part to maintain its future. The investment in all unborn children with roots firmly anchored in the past, extending right through the present time directly into a distinct future. Generations of children, ages away, dwell there. If you listen closely, their laughter could be heard on any given day. It resonated, vibrating everything. Colors of their time were saturated in new possibilities. Although they knew no other purpose than play, and play they did, day in and day out. Even when they rested, they never stopped playing. They were, in fact, the essence of life itself, where nothing ever really truly stopped moving. Their prism-like skin was so powerful it reflected back the present for everyone. Each and everyone's reality depended on this specific daily activity called play. What a great responsibility, unaware of their impact on others. Maybe it's best that it's that way. They don't need to know. Their place was sound amongst the regions. Folks thought about them all the time. I mean, all the time. So much so that blankets were woven for these children ages before their births. I mean, ages. Their purpose, legendary. Family members, young and old, worked side by side, creating the fabric for these blankets from an array of life experiences. Folks' lives created some of the best patterns. A variety of differences, similarities, ups and downs, highs and lows, ins and out, even conflict. Tension was woven into the blankets, made the blankets as unique as the folks that created them. When they were born, they received their unique blanket to be used throughout their lifetime and in their death as well, always in abundance. Yes, harmony amongst the three regions lived and developed in all throughout this land. Each region doing its part exemplified what it truly means to be aligned. Kept life living. Now, people argued, and argue they did. I mean, you can't have all that debating going on and not have arguments. Being angry at somebody wasn't an issue. We're all angry. Folks always look for new and creative ways to resolve disagreements. The issue was the other ills, rage and jealousy and envy and greed. As individual particles, they were harmless. They were carried by the winds across the ages. Yes, they would even act up every once in a while. Never enough to gain momentum, though, in one lifetime. Ancestors nipped that shit in the bud before it even got started. Ancestors saw to it. The ancestors. They were a proactive lot. I mean, when particles began to stir up, taking form, like a rat on the tracks of the A train, scurrying from point A all the way to point B, the ancestors quickly snatched it up by its tail and coddled it, causing it to dissipate once again. No judgment at all. Ancestors wise beyond our years handled it eloquently, and like the algorithms today, just because you don't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Time rolled by as it does, too fast, too soon, adapting to change quickly and without notice. Like boulders down the mountainside, hitting the earth with such great force, bit by bit, pieces by pieces of our beingness, chunks of time break off. Lack of use, like a steamroller, smooths it out. These inconveniences were no big fuss. We cannot miss what we don't remember ever having. Like boulders tumbling down the mountainside, once again, time picked up. Particles thrown everywhere, structures changing form. What once were harmless particles began to clump together like sour milk. Dissipate, verb, to disappear or to cause to disappear. Dissipated, Adjective, overindulging in sensual pleasure. Dissipation, noun, a descent into darkness and sexual dissipation. Dissipation, 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 dissipation took over. Overwhelmed the lower region like untreated syphilis, each stage more devastating than the last, evolving quickly as time rolled by. It was its own thing. Dissipation wanted up. It wanted its own space, its own region. It wanted to lead up and out of the region it was in. It could not exist there. Its impatience overwhelmed the other planes. Its urges were new to them. It thought its separate thoughts, never communicated, upsetting the balance. It wanted up right now, for to experience its up, the chronicness of this urge up was intense, drove it mad every time it thought about what it could be up, could be up. These urges put a strain on this lower region. After a while, the roots couldn't take it anymore. They were firmly planted, began to decay along with the other planes, breaking off one by one, bit by bit. Atrophy would set in. The invitation it once had into the lives of the future unborn children became an intrusive one, like a child hiding from a beast. Time must have rolled by too fast, too soon, adapting to changes quickly and without notice, like boulders crashing down the mountainside, hitting the earth with such great force. Bit by bit, pieces of our beingness, chunks of time broke off. Lack of use, like a steamroller, smoothed it out. These inconveniences were no big fuss, for we never can miss what we don't ever remember having. And now could no longer wait for dissipation, no longer heard. His urge to move was thick. But where would he exist? He could not exist at the crown, the once vibrant ancestral plane where the elders dwelled, atrophied. And still, he was not wise enough to invest in that space. Nor did he have the capacity to engage with folks at the present region. It was awkward. Just thinking about all of those encounters made him sick to his stomach. I mean, folks in his face every day, for what? Too overwhelming. Yeah. His thoughts lonely and heavy. Lonely and way too heavy. Time must have rolled by too fast, too soon, adapting to change quickly and without notice, like boulders crashing down the mountainside, hitting the earth with such great force. Bit by bit, pieces of our beingness, chunks of time broke off, like lack of use, like a steamroller smoothed it out. These inconveniences were no big fuss. We can't miss what we don't ever remember having. He took his place at the face. He too was perfectly designed for his time, where his vision was hindered from his constant craving for up. At the face, he was revered, where perception was truth and truth was perceived. At the face, knew so much, so he thought, where the only view he was interested in was his own. He became very demanding. Communication was replaced by competition. Who had this, who had that, was woven into the blankets of the unborn children, sold at a quarter of the price. Just too many children no longer sat on the shoulders of their fathers, demoted, devalued, nor did they gather at night to think that adding stars became a chore. Chores left undone. Parents pissed the fuck off. What the hell do you mean you don't want to? You do what the fuck I tell you to do. I'll break my foot off in your ass. Now, stay in your fucking place. So in their place, the children stayed. Sent to bed early, where their thinking was now housed in the land of dreams. Shit, youngins aren't done. They too evolved. Adults competed for work and children were put in their place. Time rolled by, as it did, too fast, too soon, adapting to change quickly and without notice, like boulders down the mountainside, hitting the earth with such great force, bit by bit, pieces of our beingness breaking off with chunks of time, lack of use, like a steamroller smoothed it out. These inconveniences were no big fuss, for we could never miss what we don't remember ever having. At the Face took his place at the helm, where he could keep a close eye on the people he despised. That was everyone and everything. His lack of trust reflected in his lack of sleep. But here at the Face, his eyes constantly watered like a mouth salivating over a plate of food. Although his capacity to see was limited, dissipation ruled. One day he had enough, enraged with discontentment. Thought everyone was out to get him. Everyone was incompetent but him. Just tired of explaining to everyone. You should know what to do without being told to, cause I'm tired of explaining. You should know what to do without being told to, cause I'm tired of explaining. Under the hot-ass sun, you agreed, leaning in, wasting my time because you're not listening. You should know what to do without being told to, cause I'm tired of explaining. Slapped each and every one of their hands away. No agreements at all. He balled up his fists in the palms of his hands and stormed out. Stomping all the way down to the seashore. And when he got there, he complained to the fishes. They weren't even fucking listening. They had their own agenda. He was desperate for something else. Better. For years, he carried on this way. You should know what to do without being told to, cause I'm tired of explaining. You should know what to do without being told to, cause I'm tired of explaining. Reeking through his pores was the stench of multiple ills infesting the air around him. You could smell it from miles away, slapping hands away, cutting off agreements at the wrist, storming out of discussions, making his way down to the seashore. He complained to the fishes, but the fishes weren't fucking listening. They had their own agenda. As he peered out over the loneliest sun's horizon, didn't know what he was looking for, but that didn't stop him from looking. He could not visually see what was coming across the ocean Atlantic. A vessel of folks filled with dissipation, as great as his, even greater. For at the Face is where they dwelled as well. And like him, perfectly designed for their time, they too were on a quest for up. The insight of the other planes have long since faded away. At the Face had no idea what was coming his way. At the Face had no idea what was in their hands.